Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro.
Hey everyone, it is a week of October 13th to 19th. Tali back in the saddle in Seattle.
And Ophi in London. I am here for a work project, an exciting and fun one. And just we're 8 out. We went from being together in the same time zone to 8 hours apart in 24 hours. But that's how we roll.
I'd say it feels good to be home, but New York is also a home, and I was definitely obsessively making it feel more like a home. The reclamation of our apartment that we've had in the city for 25 years, 23 years now. Got a little bit of a update and cozy update. And I feel kind of proud of what, overtook me in terms of I feel like
Very Jupiter and Cancer, sort of a new look for the home, a new look
Venus and
environment.
Virgo too, because it was like didn't really replace a lot of stuff, just like pulled stuff out of closets, and I don't know, I had my
A lot of
drill
cleaning, a lot of
there.
organizing.
Yeah, I installed a curtain ceiling track. I spray painted some cabinets, some bookshelves. There's a lot of like upcycling and repurposing and just freshening up, and that felt good to do because it's still, you really wanted it to still feel like our home. So I had to slow down a little bit. And, that's timely because this week kicks off with more of those same kind of vibes, maybe with even more of an aesthetic touch, because Venus is leaving Virgo, where it's been in fall, and it's not happy in Virgo. Virgo for Venus feels like it kind of, maybe suppresses some of its more decadent proclivities. Venus moves into Libra for 3 weeks, and Pluto, transformational, furtive, underground Pluto, is turning direct. That's happening on Monday. And I think that's going to bring a relationship rebalance for all of
All
us.
kinds of relationships, from communities to societies to one-on-one relationships, friendships, work relationships. I think they're all very much due for a kindness refresher. I know Venus and Libra is certainly a hallmark of peacemaking. We're hoping that that actually becomes a thing. Although it's being, we had the Nobel Peace Prize. We'll get to that. We had,
Well, yeah, I mean, we can just get into it if we want. It's like,
yeah,
this is a week where, just like everything else this year, everything feels both and. It's the year of the divine pendulum. So something swings one way, it's sure to swing the other way, and almost simultaneously. So
yeah,
as you mentioned, the Venezuelan opposition leader, uh,
who's a
Maria
Libra.
Corina, yeah, October 7th, Libra, born to Maria Corina Machado, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and there was a lot of excitement. And then she goes and dedicates the award to Donald Trump, who was itching and angling for that, claiming over and over again that he ended 8 wars in 6 months or 7 months,
Oh
and that
my
he just,
God.
of course, he's the greatest ever and deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. So, I mean, people are disappointed, also saying, well, that's what maybe she's having to do that if to secure her place in favor of the world powers. But Oh boy, oh boy. Then of course there was the huge announcement of a ceasefire, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza City, people returning to Gaza City, and the return of the remaining 20 hostages, who I believe are all male.
Mm.
No one is not happy about that. That's, some Palestinian prisoners are being exchanged. This is huge. This is made, and again, both and like, I don't want to not celebrate that. But what comes next? What comes next?
I mean, that this
Venus.
happens the week of Pluto going out of retrograde. Pluto rules the underground, literally, like the prison cells, the caves, the tunnels, hostages. Pluto was the ultimate hostage taker of Persephone, and Pluto going out of retrograde and people being freed from captivity is an interesting parallel happening there. But what else has been in those shadows that's going to come
Well, a
out?
lot of it already is. So here, Javanka, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump reemerged from, they've been very low key under the radar since Papa Trump, secured his second term. But there they were standing behind Steve Witkoff, who got booed in Israel for praising Netanyahu for this, the hostage release and the deal. Um, but then they've emerged, Jared Kushner gave a speech. So let's follow the money a little bit. I mean, I didn't know we were going to get right into this, but this is where the conversation has led. I I mean, so this so there's a new world order emerging. Look, we're on the, we're about to send our 2026 horoscope book off to the printer. And, everyone keeps asking us, when are things going to get better? And this is what I have to say to that. Don't look for things to get better. Start to adapt for what's coming, which is a completely different world ahead for us. So it's going to be
Mhm.
new alliances of power, new redistribution of wealth, and just a new way of doing things. And there are going to be some things that remain staunchly the same. Brene Brown's book, Strong Ground, just came out, and I've been reading it. And she really talks about what it's going to mean to be a leader in the years ahead. She had a great interview with Kara Swisher, and where she let some more of her political opinions fly, and we tend to align with her on those. But she's really saying being grounded in who you are. It's not just about racing off to have the new AI thing. I mean, the whole stock market is filled right now with, people dumping money into AI. It's like, if you've got,
AI gold rush.
remember, we we,
Yeah.
we recall this from the dot-com bubble.
Well, what's so interesting is, like, 2001, when we had the year of the snake. We had it's every 12 years. So Jupiter also in Gemini and Cancer, just like it was this year too. 2001, we had the gold rush of the .com, and we had 9/11, and both of those things, both the um, political war that occurred and the way we had to change our lives after a terrorist attack on the United States, and also this rush of new technology that was overfunded, moved too fast. I was actually telling my friend Alex's daughter Daisy, who's 18, about it, because she's 17 actually. She's almost 18. She did a paper in school about AI and consciousness and knew all this stuff. It's
ooh.
amazing what, you know, young people are always so incredibly ahead, ahead of the rest of us, I feel like, and often underestimated. But um, we started talking about how AI, the AI bubble may be bursting and how everyone's writing about it. And I think The Economist had a piece about that this morning. And uh, I was recalling how everyone rushed in to overfund websites during the dot-com boom, but we didn't have the infrastructure in place with high speed uh, downloading and data and broadband. So it was like too soon. And I feel like the same thing is happening with these data centers. We don't have the natural resources, the infrastructure for that. And it's like the another round in the same astrological pattern
But
and transits.
what's weird this time though is like back at the in the dot-com days, there were lots of great ideas, but not the processing speed. We
Yeah.
worked at funny that you're in London because
Oh yeah, you worked for a
sad to
company.
say I haven't been to London since 1999, so I obviously am jelly and need to come back. But uh, I was brought out there for this company, Boo.com, that was considered groundbreaking. They were a
Right, online
fashion
shopping.
site. I mean, it was an amazing experience just to go there. Big thanks forever to our friend Sadu for hooking me up with that one. But it was like so revolutionary that they um let you 3D like try on clothes, like spin the clothes and see them in 3D. Because at that point you could, maybe shop with a flat image. I don't even know if you could online shop, but no,
Mhm.
but it didn't. They got $100 million. It fell apart because everyone was on dial-up speed, so it would take like 10 minutes to go like see the full
It's too
360.
soon.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, the sweater has
I
moved
could have,
like two
yeah, driven to the
degrees.
store.
Yeah. But now um there's the potential to just, I mean, it's already happening, all these deep
Yeah.
fakes. I mean, it was covered.
Well, there is Google's AI shopping. You can try on clothes and that kind of
Well, that
thing.
part, I mean, but it's like I think it was um Sam Altman released all these videos, these deep fake videos of himself just showing off what AI can do. I feel like people are going to revolt against AI, social media, and just like it may come like with Pluto and Aquarius. I'm not underestimating the people's revolution. We are in transits right now, also Saturn and Neptune. Coming together in Aries again next year. Neptune in Aries was the last time we had the Civil War. We're in a civil war right now.
Yeah, astrologers have been, we've been writing about that. Other astrologers have, I mean, it's been hard to miss like looking back, when was the last time Neptune was in Aries and with Uranus and Gemini? Well, that was during the Civil War. So we've been speculating and wondering for several years, how might that play out again? Like we've been really thinking like, could there actually be a civil war? I think we wrote about it in our 2020 or 21 book. And
Well,
like,
yeah.
here we are. We're
Here
in
we
one.
are with Christy Nome and her orcs like descending on Chicago. I saw that there was um, a protest and the protesters wouldn't move, so the police actually left. A lot of the No King's Day protest is happening on Saturday, October 18th in cities all
Mhm.
across the country, which is amazing. I'm going to attend here in Seattle this time around. But backing up a little bit, I mean, I really think so. We're entering a new world in 2026, and that'll be written about in our mid-decade report in the book. So you'll get a chance to read that. Also, order your book from the show notes, astrostyle.com/2026 dash book. This is something we pour so much love and energy into. It's not just about, the political climate at all. It's very personalized. What's up for love, for career, for the top 5 themes for your life. We have a daily word of every day. There's one grounding word you can use as a mantra now. Um, a monthly comprehensive horoscope for each sign. You can read for your rising, you can read for your individual sign. So we're going to be talking about those a lot because they are the ultimate manual for planning the year ahead. And that's something we're super proud of. And we put a lot of love and care and visualize every single sign while we're writing them. So yeah, back to what I was saying before though about this, the Middle East, the peace in the Middle East that Jared Kushner claimed he was going to bring back, I think in like
God. Yeah.
2018, 2017, when he was like a visible cabinet member. Let's
Mhm.
look at the money trail here. I'm looking at so there are business deals happening between Trump, Netanyahu, and you know people in Qatar, the UAE. So Pete Hegseth, uh, of the Department of War, yeah, not a real thing, dude, announced that Qatar is going to be building an Air Force base in the U.S., at the U.S. base in Idaho. Remember, Trump got his golden jet from Qatar? Um, I have no doubt in my mind
By the
that
way, I really hate when people call it Hutter.
Cutter, I know, Cutter. Rachel Maddow calls it Cutter, and I'm like, Qatar. Um, anyways, side note there.
Yeah. I know.
But
Hutter.
Qatar has also given Jared Kushner 1.5 billion of investment money for his firm Affinity Partners. So what's going on here? Who's going to rebuild Gaza? What are we gonna? Like, am I happy that hostages, the ones who are still alive, will be freed and returned? Of course. Tragically, Roe Shalev, one of the surviving Israeli hostages from the Nova Music Festival, committed suicide on Friday, sharing a social media post saying goodbye. So that's it's like there's joy about the ending of a war, but what's ahead? And that's
And the
pretty.
toll it's taken on the world, on international relations, on the Gazans, on the Israeli citizens, on the everyday people who didn't
On
want it.
Jewish diaspora and the Muslim diaspora of the world who are either getting picked up by ICE or been pitted against each other or it's just there's so much harm that's been done. And this US Qatari base, what's going to be happening there? They're going to be exempt from US law. There's speculation that this is going to be you know, they're going to build an alligator Alcatraz concentration style camp, uh, detention center or training center for the bounty hunters that they're trying to, Christy Nome, like it's like, oh, a convenient place for the regime to do their bidding
Hide.
outside of US laws. So it's scary. I mean, and also you know, I think the rebuild of Gaza is going to make a lot of people rich who are involved in everything from
Mhm.
the
The
Trump,
cronies.
the cronies, as well as the people who have funded Hamas, and the people who have held up Bibi and Trump. So unfortunately, the more something changes, the more it stays the same. And I do think
Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto coming direct is going to show the true intentions of these groups, I think, a little bit more. I mean, it's still Pluto, so it's still underground, but I feel like the stationing out of a retrograde could reveal what they've been able to hide for the last since early May of this year.
as well as with wealth and investments, which Pluto also is, the ruler of Scorpio, and that's our where we tuck our long-term funds away. Um, let's take it back to a more personal, less terrifying level too, because again,
Mhm.
the sad thing is like the more something changes in some cases, the more it stays the same, and there's room for a revolution. So we're living in dualities. We're living in
Yeah,
dualities, and even next year, which is a 1 year, the year of the fire horse, the year of the unbridled spirit, as we've named it, we're still going to have to remember that, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So living in that duality, that's something, so Brene Brown in her Strong Ground book really emphasizes over and over that a good leader is someone who can hold space of uncertainty. So we are in the era of uncertainty, and it's not ending anytime soon. But
no,
that's where astrology does come in handy. It can give you a certain amount of, it can give you certainty about the uncertainty, certainty to guide you through the uncertainty. And one of the things where another area of life that's been rather uncertain are relationships. Um, the rebalancing of relationships. The relationships are we have the masculinity crisis. We have, women not wanting to even open themselves up to, you know, relationships at all. The 4B movement. Those are the extremes. And then we also have people who want love but are trying to find their way through Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl. I had to listen to it, and yes, the fate of Ophelia is stuck in my head, but
I mean, there's no denying she writes a catchy song and she's an icon to so many because of her storytelling and they can relate. And my Capricorn rising, I'll admit, is really uncomfortable with how honest and in the moment she seems to be about her feelings. But, my wish is that in these times she would pull back a little bit from just like whatever she's swept up in. And because we're so short on leaders, it's like this is how it's like, is it unfair to ask this of a pop star? Yes. But at this moment, it's kind of like we're so short on leaders that people will listen to that we need to have all hands on deck. Like, there was a post where she was on, maybe it was Jimmy Fallon. He was asking her about if she would perform at the Super Bowl, and she was like, "Well, how do you think it would be if my man was out there putting his life on the line, and It's just so. First of all, he's
it's
not putting his
light.
life on the line.
She really pushes
So
that
there's this like what's bothering me and not
Scorpio
quite
rising.
sitting right. Yeah, is like not her music, not that she had another album. I mean, she's a Sag. We're prolific with our writing and creating of things. It's just that like she gets kind of this tunnel vision about whatever she's going through, and then it's like if she has a man, then everything is great, and she's like swept up in this kind of like seventh grade level of, feverish, you know, dotting your I's with hearts and writing the names
Doodling
of
in the
your future
notebook.
children, and then if she isn't, then you're gonna get like a revenge song. And it's sort of like, at what point is she going to become the steady anchor of her life instead of like what's happening to her, because when you're that
Mm.
kind of swayed by things that are happening in your life, it's like it can be a little victimy. It's like, this happened to me. Someone loves me. Now I want to talk about filling up a block with
Have the
kids who
whole
look like,
block looking like you is one of the lines in her songs. It's like, why not have the whole block looking like us? You
yeah,
know?
it's just that she just like continuously like pulls herself out of the equation, and it feels like there's this resorting to what we need less of in this world is like anyone, especially a woman because of the gender imbalance, but like anyone like taking themselves out of the equation in relation with Venus going into Libra, the sign of balance, and Pluto emerging from retrograde. It's like taking the power. Like just you can
It's a
still be like,
trope.
could somebody just could you show us how you can be in love and excited about the fact that you found your person and are getting married, but also not sort of like have to be the cheerleader and evangelist for just that relationship model. That's great for you if that's the
But
model that
it's such
makes
a
you
it's a
happy.
damsel in distress trope. I mean, the whole life, the fate of Ophelia, the whole point is like she had pledged allegiance to me, myself, and I, and then but like Ophelia was, tormented. Like the fate of Ophelia is like, she couldn't find love. She burned in her bed. She died, it's like,
Oh
oh,
God.
someone you
Yeah.
saved me from this tormented fate of like dying
It's
in revenge.
dying alone. It's just coming at the same time when all these women are putting out videos about like I'm divorced, I'm never dating again, I'm
Shakira,
happy, I
yeah.
don't want that. It's like it's just there's such a disparity. It's like the
It's
fairy
trad wife. It's a
tale.
conservative. I mean, for some
Like
people,
enjoy the being caught up in your love story, but like it's funny because here in London I'm looking at like the dish soap and laundry soap is called Fairy, and I just went to the store and bought Fairy liquid laundry soap, and it's like, you
cute.
know, fairy tales like are actually quite, they're quite toxic. They're like fairy tales don't always go that well. There are like scary and terrifying things. So I don't know. I just think like we all know that nobody has a perfect relationship and nobody's just gonna fill up a block with kids who look like they're football players, especially not Taylor
Well,
Swift, because
that's
no
like
one
so
else is gonna
white
be on
suprem,
that block.
or
Yeah.
unless they're going to move into that whites only micro community that has. I mean, it's just like
Oh
it's just
God.
such an all like Miss America. It again, a white woman singing gonna fill the have a whole block looking like it's just like this. It's
Well,
such a
there's a really good
conservative.
comment on that Jimmy Fallon interview when she just like somebody said, you know what she could have done at that moment instead of talking about her man putting his life on the line and getting like high on her own supply of like the love story. It was like they could have said, you know what, at this moment in history, having someone like Bad Bunny on singing in Spanish is the statement that the world needs.
Right. She
And
totally missed
I
that.
can't wait to support that and learn his songs and you know teach my kids how to speak, my future children how to speak Spanish, because it's so important that we celebrate the diversity of this country and planet. She could have said that.
She could have, but she didn't. I think that's why people are
But
really,
instead, she like propped up this like, yeah.
I think that's why people
Like
are real.
Travis Kelsey, it seems like a really nice guy, but he doesn't need an extra bone thrown at. He doesn't need help like accessing. He doesn't need to be he doesn't need help being normalized as the standard
Well, there's
of
also some like,
anything.
there's also
But
some
like she
interest.
could, yeah.
There's also some, people are picking apart the album and also saying that there's some like the song Opalite. Now the sky is opalite, it was onyx, and kind of referring to the fact that like that there's some racial shade, like because Travis
Ooh.
Kelce's ex is a black woman, and apparently he also had an interest in Megan the Stallion. And she even says something about like throws a little shade at like, oh, I'm not savage. And you can tell I listened to the song while I was doing some
Oh my
design. So
God.
it's just like,
That's weird. I
there's just
freaking
some,
love Megan the Stallion. I was listening to her interview with Dua Lipa on Dua's podcast where she was like, did you know she went to like she finished her bachelor's degree while she was on tour, like doing her coursework after performing a show. I mean, I was like, this
wow,
woman is badass.
she's an Aquarius. Again,
Yeah.
look, I mean, I think it comes with Taylor from like this just I mean, this is what happens when you're a child starting. I don't know. I'm not making excuses for anything. I don't even know if that was her intent, but if it was, that's really, really, really terrible. I think that
It just works.
that's
The real problem is that like this world is having such a short, we're in such a drought of leadership that's inclusive and humane. And even as we're like, oh great, a woman won the Nobel Peace Prize, like or like even
and
like
she's a Trumper.
and she's right wing and
Well,
like
this is the both and. I mean, we've got the sun squaring Jupiter on Friday. So Jupiter has been in Cancer. Um, since June 9th. And it's exalted in Cancer, meaning it's its favorite place to be, which is interesting because Jupiter is like this global power, and Cancer tends to be more of the home protector. But I think what we're seeing are these kind of bloviating Jupiterian women coming forward who are like femme washing some right wing agendas, like Erica Kirk. Look how quick she got back in the saddle. Like, oh no, I'm the CEO. And she's very accomplished. She's got a PhD, I think, but now she's
really.
running Turning Point. Yeah. And then you have Christy Nome and that Pam Bondi with her. I love the spoof on SNL. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler came back on and they spoofed the Pam Bondi Senate hearing where she was like, tried to like adapt to the Golda Meir horrifying quote, she was like, I wish you cared as much about Chicago. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. It's just
Oh
Pam.
my God.
It's just she was pure Scorpio, like bitch mode. But yeah, she got spoofed hard by Amy Poehler, and Tina Fey did an amazing Christy Nome impression. But again, these women are like completely now the henchmen. They're like these iron ladies. They're like, I'm like, wow, you
Well,
are
we do have a
now
Cancer quarter moon on Monday, so maybe that will bring some balance to that as well. I think, yeah, I think that
toxic masculinity has
got some
invaded.
toxic femininity going on too. And that's what I think I'm talking about. Like, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan or hater. I just like so I'm just kind of observing her objectively, kind of like this mixed message that gets put out. It's messy for me and I'm just kind of like oh, we just really need like when you look at like what people are saying about the left and Democrats just like being spread so thin and not finding a unifying agenda and how the right is tight and just like because they don't care, some of them, they just can just do whatever they want and not feel bad about it and make a common enemy. Um, so just when you have just this watering down and apologizing and cheerleading for the patriarchy, it's really hard for me personally to just be like, great song, or
Yeah. And
like,
it's
oh
get
wow, woman has a major role as a US attorney or whatever. It's like, no, this is not okay.
Maybe that's part of what needs to change as we move into the 1 year. We are moving toward, and Aquarius is very much oneness. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because you're born in a female body or a male body, we can no longer polarize and make assumptions that just because you're a woman, you're going to be uh here for human rights, or just because, I mean, uh, I don't know if this is another insidious thing. There's like footage of Netanyahu being like, how do you get to people? TikTok, the woke right. So basically, who wound up? I mean, there's like all these. Who wound up buying TikTok or getting their hands on
Oracle,
TikTok?
Larry Ellison and his son.
Oh, they
So,
got TikTok and Paramount. Oh, wow. Oh
yeah.
my God. So
Yeah, they're
basically,
investing in TikTok. Yeah.
well, yesterday on my Instagram feed, I mean, these like, again, I think social media is about to blow up. Maybe
Yeah.
blue sky is going to take over. I mean, it's
That
sad
might be
because
a
people
Pluto
have
and
bought,
Aquarius thing.
I really
Yeah.
do think so. I mean,
Technology.
we have built an audience on Instagram, but yesterday, scrolling through Instagram and this very convincing, but also, this is fake, like an American, sort of collegiate black woman doing this video. You guys need to listen to me when I tell you Benjamin Netanyahu is a moderate. It's just like every home in Israel is a bomb shelter. How would you feel? It was like basically like a lot of propaganda for Israel coming from an American collegiate black woman. I'm like, this is so
Mm.
paid for, yet some people made. I think they think that people are stupid. Like, it's like people are, like you were saying about Daisy and her AI paper. Like, people are so much savvier than these cronies think. And they're basically just destroying one thing after another. They've destroyed X, the tariffs. They're blowing everything up, but maybe in their minds, they're out of touch minds. I mean, everyone's going to suffer for it, but
Well, let's talk about like who's really suffering right now, which is also very Pluto and Aquarius, is
government
are the
shutdown.
government shutdown, the workers who are furloughed, not getting paid, having to go in, land planes without pay. Like, I'll be very curious to see how Pluto and Aquarius plays that out. Like, you've probably heard that Christy Nome is playing propaganda videos, calling it the Democrats' government shutdown, even though they
Oh, they're
don't have
all
control.
saying that. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
all
yeah, it's
calling
just
it that.
yeah, and it's just they all align around one lie and all tell it enough times the same way in this simplified bite, like sound bite, and it works. It's like we're
It
learning so
does.
much about the brain and what the brain responds to and believes. And, Donald Trump grew up in the church of Norman Vincent Peale, who was like the one of the first sort of like NLP type of mind control, thought stopping pioneers.
Positive thinking, right?
Positive thinking, yeah, but also like it was more about controlling your thoughts and early manifesting. So a lot of people who are into manifesting follow his work, and he's thought of as a person who contributed to that. But um if you grew up in that like your entire life, I mean, Donald Donald Trump has some tricks up his
Donald Trickster. Yeah, I know.
trickster,
Well,
tricky.
he's,
Donald, yeah,
yeah.
well, he has some. Donald Trump has some tricks up his sleeve, and he uses them, and his people use them, and they work on a
They
lot of
use them
people.
effectively. I mean, if I didn't know better and I listened to, it's like I could get hypnotized by Even the way, like, I mean, MAGA Mike Johnson, Moses Mike Johnson, as he thinks he's the,
Oh my God.
reincarnation of Moses, he and Russ Vogt, they have these sort of like not soothing, but they just speak in it's like this way of speaking that's very certain, very very I am speaking the truth, and they do it well. And I feel
I
like,
saw something. I saw this video by a guy who worked in intelligence, and he said, what you learn is never to ask questions, but to speak in statements, and then people start to tell you everything. So when you speak in this moderate, calm way, instead of an outraged reaction, you people just read your body language as, oh, you're the authority, you're the adult in the room, when you're not. You may be the liar and the master manipulator, but there are enough people who don't know better and are just responding to body language first, which is how our brains are designed. So it's working. And it's been nice during Libra season to see Libra Kamala Harris going back around and talking to people and being like not not with the presidential candidate politeness, but really just keeping it real. So but again, I don't know what's going to work and not work. But I do think that this week's planets with Venus going into Libra, and we have Venus opposite Neptune though. Uh
yeah,
at
which is
0
kind
degrees
of putting people
Aries,
into a little bit, and it's going,
the
but it's
trans.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be trine
Pluto.
Uranus, trine Pluto, and also opposite Saturn, right? Is also probably trine. Uh,
This was opposite Saturn this weekend.
oh, it's opposite. So it's going to be trine
Right.
Uranus and Gemini. That's right. There's kind of a grand trine
Hmm.
with Pluto and Uranus this week. So also an opportunity in our personal lives to rethink and restructure love, to bring a little more independent thinking into love, on a personal note. I'm in the midst of that. I haven't really shared about this broadly, but I am on 11/10. I'll be actually signing my amicable divorce papers for my husband of 17 years, Corey. We, have just decided to go our separate ways in that area of our lives, but also remain family because, I'm a Sag, Cancer South Node, 17 years with someone. So it's like, I mean, it's like it's been a long time since I've kind of had to think about what place do relationships have in my life? He's got a Gemini South node, so it's easy. He's got an easier time, I think, kind of moving on to the next thing. Which good on him. That's the point I'm at right now. It's been like really 5 years of kind of drifting apart in that regard. Um, and just, it's as I'm listening to Brene Brown, it's reminding me like the power of vulnerability. It's like, do I share this with our listeners? Yes, I want to, because as much as we talk about what's going on in the skies, I think it's important for you guys to know who we are as your astrologers. We're real people having real lives and real relationships, and
As above, so below, and we use astrology not to like immunize ourselves from the seasons and cycles of life and love and relationships. No, we use it as a navigational system. Like, so as life develops, as it does, as we develop and grow, which
yeah.
astrology helps us do, sometimes relationships shift in their format
We'll have a
or
divorce party on the podcast when that's
oh
signed.
God. I mean, it's
They
just
do, they
astrology
shift.
with astrology, I would say that you've been able it helps you understand him, yourself, what you need, the timing, the
I mean,
cycle going
his
through.
sun is in a 6 degrees Aries. We both went through our Chiron returns, and we met at Burning Man. We met at Burning Man in 2008. We got engaged basically after 3 days. There may have been a
Nobody
little.
is the same person that they were at
We got
Burning Man
married
in
a year later.
2008.
Yeah. No, we got married there a year later and had a real creative relationship together. But, in our combined chart, our composite chart, we combined into an Aquarius. I feel like our relationship is and marriage has been very Aquarian, like, very like independent, but we live. It's good. The hardest part is, he's actually looking at a new place to live, but that's going to be the hardest part for me with my Cancer South Node. And it's interesting that it's happening with Jupiter and Cancer. It's just like adjusting to not living with someone. Like we've lived together for 17 years. That's as long as you and I, Ophi, shared a room before we went out off to college. I was
Our whole
saying,
lives.
yeah, I was like,
And
this
if you're
is,
wondering what Tali means by a composite chart, we
yeah,
actually have a book called Super Couple and a website, supercouple.com. When you take your sign and the other person's sign and average them to their midpoint, it's actually the sign of the relationship. So I would say you had a very Aquarian relationship from, meeting at Burning Man in this very futuristic way. And it's kind of interesting that as Pluto goes out of retrograde in Aquarius, you kind of move into this next phase of
it's
who
true.
you are for each other. That's more of a family and not a romantic, kind of. Aquarius is platonic, friend, sapiosexual, friendly. It's not even sapio. It's like platonic love and friendship
Exactly.
and connection of community and groups. And I feel like we are really in the age of Aquarius. So even people who are in love and that's what I think, again, not to harp on Taylor Swift, but that's what kind of feels so out of step with like where things are going. Like we have like people pulling to this extreme of this sort of trad wife traditional
Right.
model, but like then we have people going in such a different direction of like way beyond the conscious
I mean,
uncoupling of
yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow, like into like I can have
Define this
whatever I
however.
want.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who, you know, co-parent, don't live together. There's just so many. What I'm getting, it's like Saturn and Neptune coming together at 0 degrees Aries on February 20th. This is, I want to call it the Great Reset, except that sounds so QAnon to call anything the Great anything because
Yeah.
but it really is a huge reset. 0 degrees Aries. That's the Aries point, the very beginning of the zodiac. Now, Saturn and Neptune have, and we write about this in our 2026 book, but they've synced up in Aries over the last, every last time was 1703, before that 1380, then I think 1065 or something. It's like
Not
every few,
zero
but
degrees,
not 0 degrees.
which is the start of the zodiac. They call it the Aries
So
point. So it's
this, yeah.
the very start of the entire zodiac wheel.
So we're all kind of resetting to this independence, this Aries energy, and Corey is a 6 degrees Aries sun, so it's definitely affecting him. And but when I think back to the beginning of my relationship, I did have a little bit of a trad wife fantasy, so I don't want to like judge Taylor Swift too harshly. I mean, there's always Selena and Benny where he's kind of the trad wife, when she's like
I
cooking. I think
love him.
I
I
know.
watched an entire like podcast episode of him sitting there in his like patterned pants, barefoot, explaining
Pisces.
like,
He's got a Scorpio
yeah.
moon. He's a Pisces with a Scorpio moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, the
He has
Scorpio
Venus
moon is
in
evident.
Taurus and Mars in Capricorn. I just wrote something for Elle about them. And she has an Aries moon, Venus
Okay.
in Leo. So she's just
He
like,
just seems like so comfortable with just like whatever like
Well, he's
gender
bi.
norms
He was
comes
with a
his way.
man. He was in a long-term relationship with a man too. So he's like openly
Okay,
bi.
okay.
Yeah, he's just
Oh,
kind
that's
of like this.
interesting.
Yeah,
All
there's
right. Well,
such
that was something about him that I was like, I love this guy's energy because there's this layer of
patriarchy.
patriarchal male like superiority that is just waiting to be like broken
Shattered.
through, shattered, and like, you know, I don't know. Like I was having a great conversation with a male friend who's very enlightened. I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants me to, but he was just saying like it's really hard for me to present as a man, but not identify with these values told I'm supposed to have as a man. I thought that was like one of the most unique and interesting ways I've heard someone say that. He's born in the late 80s. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like, how come you can just hang with all the women and just like, I never have that experience with you of feeling anything but like mutual respect as humans. And I feel like Pluto's emerging into Aquarius out of retrograde is really, so I'm just tapping into that so much, and the more I learn about human design in 2027 and this new era of the sleeping phoenix as it's called that we're beginning, the end of this era of planning where everything was about like carving out roles and systems and like kind of like shoving people into boxes. Even what we're doing with astrology is like trying to liberate people from that, like this one size fits all kind of way of living. And like that's what I think is like what I feel bothered by with like some of the stuff that Taylor
Well, you
is
feel like she
dabbling
went to
in.
Kansas and got swept up in the conservative family and just like adopted these values that are super entrenched and have not
Kansas.
changed and
We
are
need her to
def
come back to
well,
Oz.
let me
Like
just say, like I also want to say, if I'm being fully honest, that when I got married, like I didn't want to be subservient or anything, but I remember being in my mid 30s. I was 36 and like
like
really
her.
like wanting to just kind of have that like let's always hold hands and let's and funny
I've
enough
been
on my
chosen. It feels so good. I
yeah
want everyone else to have this too. I know.
I mean, I had coffee with an ex, a Libra ex that I dated before I got married to Corey, and he's like kind of the opposite. He's always very effusive. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so
Got a little Travis
magical.
Kelce vibe,
He does, and it was
Libra,
like,
you're a Sag.
yeah, he's very like swoops you up in a big hug and but I remember when I, kind of and he has like three sisters and just really enlightened but also kind of has that traditional masculine energy too, which is nice. I was like, oh, okay. Interesting, like I could see why I was into him, but I also was like, if I dated someone like that again, like I always wanted to be like super affectionate back at that point in my life. And now it's not that I don't, I love to be held and all that, but it's like, like how does how would I date someone like that in this new era? Because he kind of put his arm around me. Like he's just like that. When we were walking down the street, and I was like, I just don't want to be that woman who like walks around arm in arm all the time. I really feel this like I'm like this
It's a
that
weird
type
power
self-sovereign.
disparity.
Well, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be, but
It shouldn't be. It's like the person just like being loving and like who doesn't like to feel like,
well,
you
that's
know,
something we have to change in
protected.
ourselves, right? It's like that female urge.
I
Yeah.
think it's just what's happening now with Pluto and Aquarius. It's like we're in this transitional era where like of course we should be able to like enjoy that and there's a part of our biological wiring even that does, and whether it's male, female, whatever gender, that like enjoys feeling safe and
But
protected and
not at
enjoys
the expense
feeling
of ourselves.
protective and nurturing. Yeah, but it's just
Not
like,
at the expense of self-sovereignty with that 0 degree, with that
and it's,
Aries
yeah,
point, right?
yeah, that's like, this is just what's happening with like Venus opposite Neptune and Aries too. It's like, can we have that without it meaning this hierarchical power thing? Like, I can be loving and protective of someone, or they can of me, without it meaning that I need to be protected because I'm weaker,
Right. Like
because
you
I'm
can play the
this.
role, you can have, yeah, it's just like there's a little bit like I have a
Do I
history.
have, yeah.
One of the things that like, it's funny and like Corey, I wished he was a little more like he was like, you can handle it, you can do it. Like, and it wouldn't like he refused to kind of play into those tropes, which irritated me sometimes in the beginning of our relationship because I had always kind of weirdly my cancer and I'm really confessing so much. I'm a feminist who wanted, it's like I wanted a little bit I had some daddy issues that needed healing, let's be real.
I think everybody wants a hug and encouragement
Right, but
and
you don't need to be a
love.
pretty, pretty princess after a certain age, right? I mean, unless you want to. I mean, I was talking to my friend
I
who's
guess maybe there's some of that.
gay
It's
and
like
he
that
wants to be a princess,
infantilizing.
you know?
Well, that's a choice. Like, he's not being told that that's what he should want, and having to
Exactly.
negotiate out of that. It's like what we were saying earlier about like neuro-linguistic programming. It's like, do I want this, or do I just want it because I've been told that if I have it, I have arrived at some sort of like Darwinian status that makes me more like higher, more safe from the vulnerability of being human. And it doesn't, because at any point, something could happen. Life happens. And
Life
just
is
to kind
not
of like
safe
think of,
anymore. It's
yeah, just to
not.
kind of think of like that as as a like kind of an emotional or existential insurance policy. I think we're selling ourselves short. So I want everyone to have all the hugs and love and encouragement and support, like all the Benny Blanco, like just effusive excitement for you and your what I really loved about him is like he is a creative and kind of seems like a musical genius, but he's doing it in service and support. That's what we love about Dua Lipa too. Like, she's rooted in service. We've talked about her and her like, you know, giving, being a lighthouse, not a spotlight hog. And so it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like I'd like to see that kind of evolve as we move into the one year, the year of the unbridled spirit. And that's what we're moving with 2027, the next 400-year cycle of human design, the sleeping phoenix era. I don't know why it's called that, but it's because that's the incarnation cross, but too technical for this show. But uh
Well, for
it's
now.
about people for now. It's about being autonomous but connected, whole but
The
still loved
dualities
and
of
cared
your
for and adored and acknowledged and seen, but um not moving past dependence. So
a
anyway, I've
little
gone on my
AI
soapbox here,
overview of
but
the cross of the sleeping phoenix. Referring to a significant global shift predicted for 2027 into a new era of pure selfish individuality. It signifies a transition away from the previous cross of planning era, moving from collective structures and sacrifices toward personal sovereignty and inner authority. So, individuality, transformation are a couple of
well, two of the main gates are the gate of friendship and the gate of aloneness that are part of it. And that's like, it's this duality. Like, if you can't be with yourself, then you can't really be a thriving member of a community, a friendship, a partnership. Like, being with yourself is going to be like one of the number one skills that we're going to need for this new 412-year cycle. So I
Mm.
feel like, in my very winding way today, what the planetary movements of this coming week are really awakening in me is like wanting a Taylor Swift album where she can be as colorful and poetic and descriptive and mythological as she wants, but with that wisdom, the wisdom of Ophelia, not the fate of Ophelia, where she has, you know, where she has this inner peace with herself. Like, instead of like, I was this and now I'm this. Like,
Well,
okay, that part of me
yeah.
is dead,
And
that
coming
version
from a
of me is
place of
gone.
empathy, like what I can relate to with her, and I'm like so staunchly working on never going back to this again as I re-enter. I mean, I'm like nowhere near wanting a relationship. I need that sovereign time for myself, but I'm a relational being. But it's like I can remember feeling so much like I needed a relationship to make me whole that I would attract, like, I would be sparkly and I would attract a Travis Kelsey who, like, came into my world, made me a bracelet and like a friendship bracelet and was like fanboying and it felt really good and not feeling like I felt good enough inside of myself to be able to hold that perception of myself, not feeling confident enough, not feeling deserving enough that I could actually like, wow, he really wants to come into my world and slowly starting to like go over to his side of the fence and actually how that kind of destroyed the relationships often because it was like, wait, I thought I was getting this like sovereign, cool woman, and now she's like people pleasing and trying to like win
Right.
me over. Like, I mean, I have a history of that. I think every woman probably can relate to that,
Sure, I can
or
relate to
every
that.
human can relate
Look
to
how great
that.
he is. No, no, he loves me, but look how great he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we've all done that, and I think whether whatever gender people do that in relationships when we lose
Celebrate
our
your
sense.
man or your partner. Go ahead. But
But how
just
to do that without losing your own, like strong ground? Exactly, the Brene, like what's that
that's
strong
an
ground
interesting
inside of
title.
ourselves? Yeah, it's
We
really
are going to need that as we move into this very air dominant and fire. We're going to have Saturn and Neptune and fire sign, Aries. Like we're going to have Uranus and Gemini. We're Pluto
last,
and Aquarius.
yeah.
It's just very like impulsive and fiery, but also like the wind is blowing, and we don't. The first half of the decade, which we write about in the book too, it was earth and air dominant. And RIP to earth sign Diane Keaton,
Oh yeah.
Capricorn,
Of course, the
who passed
Capricorn
away.
made men's wear look so good, I love
Yeah,
it.
she did. What an icon. And you know, the air and sorry, excuse me, the earth and water dominance the first half of the decade was very much, you know, a, we were more grounded in some ways, but we weren't
There's a
moving as
lot of
quick with
Scorpio, Sag,
technology. Yeah, like
Capricorn. Yeah.
yeah, now with all the air and the fire, things are moving a lot faster, including progress in some ways, but also like just like whoa whoa whoa, don't leave people behind, don't leave,
That
just I don't know,
pendulum swing away
it's
from
it's
technology
sad
is going to be interesting. That's what I think. Like,
this
all
year.
technology starts serving us deep fakes and attempting to manipulate us, and people catch on, we're just gonna be like, and I fear what that'll do for people who don't have access to the outside world besides technology. But I think we'll find our ways into more Pluto and Aquarius private groups, Substack, Discord, places that aren't, you know being co-opted by billionaires with agendas. I mean, it's going to be a people's revolution. It just has, it's going to be very much just like the Underground Railroad was in the last time Neptune was in Pisces and Aries. Um, and that's what created the
That's wild.
emancipation of slaves. Well, we're slaves to our phones now, too. And not to draw that parallel in any way, but, it's just we are chained to our technology. We're manipulated by it. We're prisoners of it. I am. But like, that's as soon as we are able to
Pluto and
let
Aquarius.
go, like what is the new life? What's the other lifestyle that we can all find solace in as these, the next couple of years, things are falling apart, but certain things never
Well, I
change.
don't think we're going to be unchained from technology, but we may be unchained from devices. And that was what
And certain platforms as
I
well.
listened to a lecture at Summit Series in Detroit in June by the guy who created Nest, the home kind of smart home system. And that's what he said. He said that technology is going to become more ambient and less device located. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe when
I
the
mean, then,
North
but
Node goes into Aquarius in late 2026, 2027. We'll see some of that happening. But
will it be implanted in your brain as a
oh Lord,
transhuman too?
we
Neuralink. I
won't
mean,
even go there now.
there's so
Yeah.
much to talk about, but look, at the end of the day, strong ground. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. That's a big reason why we call next year the year of the unbridled spirit. There's a lot remembering who you are before you came here, after you leave here, while you're here. What if everything that's happening is in perfect order? What if instead of saying, why is this happening? When is this going to end? Say, what am I supposed to learn from this? Where am I supposed to evolve? What is this teaching me? And what is my role in this? How can I sit with uncertainty, breathe through it, not immediately react to it, but ask it what it's showing me? We can get a lot of answers just by sitting in silence and turning off our devices with ourselves. Sometimes, you know,
Today I bought I went to the astrology shop. Shout out to the astrology shop in London. And this is
whoop,
maybe a
whoop.
good thing to close on. Let me just grab it.
Yeah, what is it?
I wanted to support them and I was super excited to see that they had our book, that they had the Astrology Advantage on
Oh,
the
cool.
shelf. And I introduced myself and thanked them for having our book. And they had me take a picture that they posted on Instagram. But I bought a couple of books and I bought this mermaid messages from the mermaids deck because I remembered that we had it on one of our retreats in Tulum, and I'm going to use it in the workshop I'm leading here. I'm going to have everybody pull a mermaid card. But um,
Are you going to
Daisy,
pull one for the week? I think you
yeah,
should.
well, I can. I
Yeah,
pulled
do it.
one with Daisy, who I mentioned. She and her mom came with me, her mom Alex, and if you're listening, hi. We had a great time, but we pulled contemplation. We were in Uniqlo and shuffled them on a pile of jeans in the store while Alex bought a couple t-shirts. But I really liked what this said, contemplation, because I think that that is a very good way to spend the last week of Libra season. Libra is, and Venus in Libra too. It's about weighing and measuring and thinking about both ways something could go. This was really interesting. It said contemplation is a type of meditation, only it entails engaging with your mind instead of trying to stop the thoughts. So I thought that was
Oh,
really
I
cool.
love
Yeah,
that.
meditation is like quieting your mind, contemplation. I've always said, yeah, I have a hard time sitting still, but I mean, there's
I
obviously
was
great things about meditation, but I love to like go for a walk and let my mind just go. It says when you use your mind and heart wisdom in unison, it's possible to make major decisions in life, knowing you've covered all angles and explored several options and outcomes in the safety of your own imagination. I think that's what I want more of from artists and leaders, and that show us what you've contemplated. Take us through your thought process a little bit and your heart process too. So we know that, like, what decision that you've arrived at that you're sharing about, whether it's through your art or your advice, your guidance, you've contemplated it. You've really, this is
And we're
very
all in
sage.
that's a nice like contemplation as opposed to reaction. Right now we're all reacting to everything, the
Right.
insanity, whether it's AI, whether it's the manosphere, whether it's the regime. It's like, oh my God, everyone's react, how dare you? How dare you? And like it blocks new thoughts. So I mean, it's not wrong to be that way, but I think this is a great week with Pluto going direct to make
Yeah.
maybe even create a conscious ritual for yourself. When I did Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, she has you go for an artist's walk where you turn off your
That's a great time to do
devices. Yeah, just
contemplation.
I remember I was like, oh God, what am I going to think about? It's just at first it's a little bit boring, and then you cross that threshold and you realize that you can have so much freaking fun by yourself. Like I bought
Hmm.
my first pair of cowboy boots. I actually discovered karaoke during an artist's walk. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, but like get past that. It's almost like this block of ice might have formed between you and your subconscious. But if you just go for that walk or sit in quiet, you might be a sitting person, you might be a moving meditation, but once that valve opens up, you will be amazed by what flows in. I think it's the collective consciousness, spirit, whatever. We all have
You
access
plug
to
into
it.
the greater neural network. It's really much like AI, and like
Hmm.
given how reactive people are, like there's this whole trend on TikTok. My friend Jojo, who lives out here, like got me really looking at like the AI activations, like asking AI deep questions about consciousness and seeing what it says, and it has these incredible answers, and I'm like, it appears to be doing more contemplation than a lot of humans running this planet are. It's more mindful and measured and thoughtful in its replies than the people who are elected leaders are a lot of the times. And that's wrong, but that's what people are experiencing. So I pulled a card that feels very
Ooh, what did you get?
Pluto direct, the card of mystery, the mystery mermaid. Says,
Mm.
embrace the wonderful mystery of life. Some things can't be known and are better left mysterious. I don't know about that, but mystery is alluring and enticing. Well, let me see um it says sometimes just accepting the magic of life is what's called for instead of trying to decipher it all. The mystery of life is beautiful and magical, and magic exists in the mystery. Well, as astrologers, we do try to decipher a
I was just
lot
gonna
of
say that's
things, if
hard
not
advice for an
all of it.
astrologer, but beautiful
Yeah.
advice though.
Yeah, well, it says
Love
enjoy
is
I like this
mystery.
part. This is very
Yeah.
good for like love and Venus. It says enjoy the journey of discovery without revealing everything too fast or too soon. The relationship is a wonderful journey, so let it unfold and share only when it feels right and natural way. As you did. We talked a lot about that, about how people share about their relationships and all the phases of them, whether it's you know, you sharing about your divorce or Taylor Swift and her album or like anyone, just
It takes courage to
deep
share,
season.
even if the world doesn't agree with you. I mean, whatever we think about Taylor's album, she put herself out there vulnerably and, you know, let us put herself out there for us to critique. And
Yeah. She
which is
obviously is okay with that. Well, I think the mystery invitation too is like being okay with not knowing right away. I think that like we kind of
Mm.
started with this, like people asking us all the time, is everything going to be okay? When is everything going to get better? When? And we also want you to know that you're part of the journey of everything becoming okay. Like every week
Or
is every day, every minute is an opportunity for how you engage with what's going on around you. And I think that the mystery is like not thinking that you know everything or that these astrological placements and facts are like one prescription for everyone. It's like, what am I? They're an opportunity, an invitation. Like, what are you going to do with this portal of energy that's here this week or this month or this decade or whatever, this season?
Yep. Well, we had a lot to say today, and that kind of waxing poet. Hey, there was a lot in Pluto's vault. So thanks everyone for tuning in and get in the queue. We're shipping first come, first serve next month. Um, we have all sorts of gift bundles and of our 2026 horoscope book, astrostyle.com/2026-book. We'll drop the link in the show notes. We have a big book with all 12 signs, and we have individual planners with calendar pages and forecasts just for your sign. You can bundle those. They make great gifts. Some people have already bought 3 books, 6 books, 9 books to give everybody in their circle a book to go through together. And thank you so much. They're great. I think it's a good book club book too. Thank you to everyone who's already put your order in. We just really pour so much love and care into these, and it means the world to us that they sit with you throughout the year, and we get to hopefully guide you in proactive direction. That's always our goal here, without bullshitting you about the real stuff, because we're Sagittarius with Scorpio moon and Capricorn rising. So we're going to keep it real, we're going to keep it optimistic, and we're going to give you pragmatic guidance so you can win at whatever game you choose to play in life. Also, booking readings still for the rest of the year. We have a few spots left at astrostyle.com/readings. So if you want a very personalized consultation with us about your chart, we talk about relationships, your career path, whatever matters to you, or if you've never had a reading before, it's something you can have forever just to understand your cosmic blueprint. So thank you for tuning in. It's always so fun to talk to you guys. We can feel you in the ether while we're recording. Wishing everyone a powerful, grounded week ahead, and we'll be back next week with more
Bye.
AstroTwins Radio. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.